There is a moment in your life, perhaps it's subtle, perhaps it's violent, when you realize that you were never meant to fit in. That your very presence unsettles people, not because you are wrong, but because you are real. You walk into rooms and feel energy shift. You speak truth and watch people squirm. You choose silence and others feel threatened. And you wonder, why does my light seem to disturb their shadows? I want you to understand something today that will rewire the way you see yourself, your path, and your pain. Your power is their downfall. Not because you're trying to defeat them, not because you're here to dominate, but because your authenticity, your evolution, your refusal to stay small exposes what they have tried so hard to keep hidden. And when truth walks in, illusions collapse. The world has conditioned you to believe that being powerful is dangerous, that showing up fully is arrogant, that knowing who you are is threatening. And they're right, it is threatening. But only to those who have built their identity on your silence. Only to those who benefit from your confusion. Only to those who fear what might happen if you actually remembered who you are. And so they challenge you, not with swords, but with subtle sabotage. Not with open aggression, but with passive resistance. They downplay your gifts. They question your motives. They celebrate your failures and ignore your growth. But here's what they don't realize. Every time they try to push you down, they make you rise higher. Every attempt to diminish your light only forces you to shine brighter. Because your power isn't something you wear, it's something you are.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
We live in a world where mediocrity is celebrated and true greatness is feared. Why? Because true power is not loud. It's not flashy. It's not performative. True power is presence, stillness, integrity. It's the quiet confidence that doesn't need applause to feel whole. And that kind of power, it terrifies people who have built their lives on pretending. That's why they try to make you doubt yourself. That's why they call you too intense, too much, too sensitive. Because if you ever stop apologizing for your truth, if you ever stop diluting your soul just to be liked, they know the game is over. The false systems, the fake personas, the fragile egos, they crumble in the presence of someone who is whole. And that someone is you. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to defend yourself. You just need to be fully, fiercely, unapologetically. But let's go deeper. Why does your power threaten them so much? Because it reminds them of the parts of themselves they've abandoned. Your courage exposes their cowardice. Your truth highlights their lies. Your evolution makes their stagnation unbearable. You become a mirror they cannot escape. And instead of facing themselves, they try to break the mirror. They try to break you. But what they don't understand is that you've already been broken and rebuilt. You've already walked through fire. You've already faced your shadows. You are not rising from comfort, you are rising from ashes. And that kind of resurrection cannot be undone. You are not fragile, you are forged. And every attack only polishes the blade. Think about this. What if every time someone tried to tear you down, it was actually a sign that you were rising higher in frequency? What if the resistance was actually validation? What if the attacks were confirmation that you are becoming undeniable? You don't need to be liked. You need to be aligned. You don't need to be safe. You need to be sovereign. And when you choose alignment over approval, when you choose sovereignty over safety, something radical happens. You become untouchable. Not because you're immune to pain, but because you've stopped seeking permission to exist. And now, here's a truth most won't say out loud. There are people in your life right now who are secretly hoping you fail. Not because you've harmed them, but because your success would force them to confront their own mediocrity. Your joy would expose their bitterness. Your peace would highlight their chaos. Your healing would make their excuses invalid. And so they smile in your face while praying for your downfall. But here's the twist: their downfall is already written. Because your power doesn't come from them. It doesn't come from the likes, the applause, the approval. It comes from your source, from your connection to something eternal, something divine, something unbreakable. And when you move from that place, no weapon formed against you can prosper, not because it won't be formed, but because it won't touch you. So I ask you now, are you ready to stop hiding? Are you ready to accept that your very existence is a revolution? That your healing is political? That your joy is resistance? That your boundaries are sacred? That your voice is a weapon of light? Because the moment you accept that, you stop playing small. You stop making yourself digestible for people who were never meant to taste your truth. You stop minimizing your presence just to make others comfortable in their dysfunction. You stop apologizing for being chosen. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces you were sent to expand. And in that moment, you become what you've always been destined to be, not just powerful, but liberating. You can feel it, even when no one says it out loud. There's a tension in the air when you walk into certain rooms, eyes that pretend to admire but secretly measure you, smiles that stretch just a little too thin, in compliments that carry a hidden edge. And you wonder, why does it feel like I'm always under quiet attack? This is the silent war. The one fought not with fists or weapons, but with energy, with projection, with envy disguised as concern. And here's the truth most people are too afraid to say: when you begin to awaken, when you start owning your light, when you stop playing the role they assigned you, people who once claimed to love you will begin to see you as a threat. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your evolution makes their stagnation unbearable. And here's the secret: they're already losing. You see, when people can't control you, they try to contain you. When they can't diminish your path, they try to distort your image. They'll talk behind your back. They'll twist your intentions. They'll whisper lies in rooms you're not even in. But what they don't realize is that you've already outgrown their reach. You're no longer operating on the frequency where their opinions hold weight. They're still playing chess on the ground while you've learned to fly. And every time they try to pull you back into the old version of yourself, you have a sacred choice. Do I get pulled into their storm, or do I remain the calm that exposes it? This is spiritual warfare, energetic warfare. And the battlefield is invisible, but the consequences are very real. Let me ask you something deep. What if your silence is louder than their noise? What if your peace is a weapon they don't know how to fight? What if your refusal to engage is what actually defeats them? Because here's what most people don't understand: when you stop reacting, you reclaim your power. When you stop explaining, you preserve your energy. When you stop defending, you declare your alignment. You are not here to prove your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You are here to walk in truth so boldly, so clearly, so consistently, that even your silence speaks volumes. That even your stillness becomes a sermon. That even your breath becomes a battle cry for those still learning how to rise. And yes, the attacks will come. Not from the obvious enemies, but from the ones closest to your heart. The ones who knew you before the awakening. The ones who loved the version of you that didn't know how to say no. The version of you that overgave, over-explained, over-accommodated. But now you've changed. You've remembered. And remembrance is power. And power, when it's embodied without apology, is terrifying to those who are still asleep. So they'll resist you. They'll challenge you. They'll try to bait you into proving yourself. But every time you refuse to play the game, they lose. Because their power came from your reaction, and now you've taken that back. Let me offer you something practical. Protect your energy like it's sacred currency, because it is. Not everyone deserves access to your presence. Not everyone should be allowed to speak into your life. Set boundaries not as walls, but as filters. Create space between you and those who consistently pull you into their drama, their projections, their chaos. You are not obligated to carry what they refuse to heal. You are not required to explain your growth to people who are committed to staying the same. And no, you are not cruel or selfish for choosing peace. You are wise. You are discerning. You are finally learning that your energy is a temple, and not everyone deserves to enter. And here's the most powerful part: you don't need revenge. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to expose anyone. Because life has a mysterious way of revealing truth at the perfect time. The same people who try to destroy you with gossip will one day witness your rise in silence. The same ones who doubted you will watch you walk through doors they can't even see. The same ones who whispered against you will one day be forced to speak your name with respect. Not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. And that is the highest form of victory. Not dominance, but detachment. Not retaliation, but transcendence. So when you feel the pressure, when the energy in the room shifts, when the subtle attacks come, when you sense that silent war swirling around you, breathe. Remember who you are. Remember why you're here. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. You are not here to conform. You are here to transform. You are not here to be understood. You are here to awaken those who are ready and to trigger those who are not. That's part of the assignment. That's the cost of remembrance. And that's why your power will always be their downfall. There comes a point on the sacred path where you no longer seek victory, not because you've given up, but because you've awakened to a deeper truth. You've already won. Not in the way the world measures success, not with trophies, applause, or dominance, but in the way the soul recognizes completion. You've outgrown the game. The one they tried to keep you locked in. The one built on competition, scarcity, and ego. You're not here to win arguments, debates, or power struggles. You're here to rise beyond them. That's what ascension really means. It's not floating into the clouds. It's standing so deeply rooted in your truth that no storm can move you. It's knowing, without needing to prove, that your alignment is your authority. And when you reach that place, everything changes because you no longer chase energy, you attract it. You realize that the real win isn't proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right, not through ego, but through embodiment. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You stop explaining your path to those who never saw it. You stop watering down your truth to make it easier for others to swallow. Because you know now, your life is the proof. Your peace is the proof. Your joy is the proof. Your growth is the proof. And when you start living like that, you become untouchable, not because no one tries to hurt you, but because their attempts no longer land. You've raised your frequency. You've changed your vibration. You've exited the matrix of needing to win. Because the real prize was never approval. It was freedom. And here's where it gets even deeper. You no longer see them as enemies. You see them as reflections, teachers, contracts. Souls who signed up to challenge you so you could remember who you are. That's the paradox of awakening. Those who hurt you the most were, in some strange divine way, participating in your liberation. They tried to break you, but they ended up unlocking you. They tried to bury you, but they were actually planting you. And now you've grown, not in spite of them, but because of them. And that's not weakness, that's spiritual dominance. The ability to transmute pain into purpose, is to turn betrayal into clarity, to use the attack as fuel for your ascension. That's the kind of power that doesn't just change your life, it changes lineages. Let me ask you something sacred. What if every loss was actually a redirection? What if every closed door was divine protection? What if the rejection you once cried over was actually the universe preserving your energy for something far more aligned? This is how the awakened see life, not in straight lines, but in spirals. Not in wins and losses, but in initiations and integrations. Everything is working for you, even the silence, even the pain, even the delays, especially the delays. Because what's meant for you isn't just about what you want, it's about what you're ready for. And when you stop forcing, stop chasing, stop proving, you create space for the miracles that can only arrive when you're truly aligned. This is the final ascension. It's not dramatic. It's not always visible. It's quiet, internal, inevitable. One day you realize you haven't been triggered in weeks. You've stopped reacting to their energy. You no longer feel the need to respond to every misunderstanding. You no longer carry the weight of being misjudged. You look around, and the people you used to try so hard to impress no longer even cross your mind. You have peace. You have clarity. You have direction, not because everything is perfect, but because you trust yourself. And that, right there, is the highest form of success. When your inner world becomes more real than anything outside of you. When your spirit becomes your compass. When your soul becomes your CEO. And now you see the big picture. You were never in competition. You were in transformation. You were never building a brand. You were building a being. You were never just defending your name. You were discovering your nature. And all along, the universe wasn't testing you to crush you, it was testing you to reveal you, to show you the places where you still outsourced your power, to wake you up to the truth that you never needed to fight for your place in anyone's life. You already had a seat at the divine table, and now you're sitting in it, confident, clear, whole. You don't need to win the game, because you've remembered you are the game changer. And here's the final truth. Once you transcend the game, those who still play it can't touch you. They'll try, they'll throw shade, they'll create noise, but it won't reach you, because your frequency has become your shield. Your peace has become your armor. Your purpose has become your propulsion. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to defend your light. Light doesn't explain itself. It just shines, and those who are ready will rise with you. And those who are not will fall away, not because you banished them, but because your vibration no longer supports their presence. So walk tall, walk clear, walk free. Your power was never meant to dominate, it was meant to liberate. You are not here to win petty battles. You are here to shift realities. Your presence is your proof. Your peace is your revolution. Your truth is your legacy. And their downfall? It was never your responsibility. It was always their own resistance to awakening. And now you see clearly your power is not their punishment, it's their invitation. But whether they accept it or not, you rise anyway.